Okay.
Now we are.
And we're live. That's it. Boom. We're doing it live. F it. This is Matthew Cox, Jim Root, Kai McKeon joining me. This is a live stream of the 3 Week College Basketball Podcast. This is our 4th live stream show, guys. So milestones in the making. Very proud of our progress here at this organization. Jim, how are you? I'll start with you. Kyle, I'll get to you in a second. Then we'll hit the itinerary on tonight's program and get through it.
I'm fantastic, Matt. I made the mistake of taking a nap, and for some reason, those never make me feel better. I tried to sneak in a little cat nap to energize me, and it really more just makes me feel like I need to crawl into a deathbed. But I'm here. I'm ready to pod. I'm ready to talk college hoops. We got a nice little itinerary here. There's some fun topics to get through. So I am still excited for the episode, despite feeling at death's door.
Good. We're happy to have you. Kai,
there's a sweet spot of napping, if you will. There's the too long, which makes you feel sluggish, like Jim.
The two hands.
And there's the perfect amount, which makes you feel energized and ready to take on the day.
I wish that existed for me.
It's like 20, 25 minutes. There's been studies on this, Jim. I suggest you Google it. I'm doing great, by the way, Matthew.
I know they're real.
Good.
I just don't think they apply to me.
I see.
Well, poor show. I'm trying to go ahead, Kai. Oh, sorry. I'm hearing the echo because I'm trying to pull up on the live feed during the show, which I should have had done before I started the program. That's bad show prep, guys. But tonight's show, very familiar slate. Going to get to We've Saw That, which will be preceded by Roots Roundup, everyone's favorite section. 3 men thoughts, and then game previews. That's all we have. Pretty standard, really. Shouts to Jay Pitty, the best producer in the intro, outro music game in the college basketball sphere. Follow us on Twitter, Kai. That's at 3MW_CBB. Same handle applies to Instagram, which we've had a few drips of content recently. How fun for those who follow on that platform. If you don't subscribe to the pod, we'll do so right now. That's on iTunes, Amazon, Spotify, Podbean, Auto Radio, among other platforms where you can leave us reviews, preferably of the 5-star variety, of which Kai will read to us right now. Kai, go.
2 new reviews, both 5 stars. Heck yeah. SPM 1997. Seeking respect for the Tang Gang. Finally getting to leave the review that he wanted to send last year. He says he loves the show, but he says, what will it take for the Weave Boys to eat their words on the Purple Kittens in Manhattan? He talks about the big Texas game. He says it sure looks like a tournament team to him. Well, Jim, as I said on our show this morning, yeah, I fully admit, man, K-State is very, very good. I'm impressed. They are a tournament team. And I'm going to Manhattan on Tuesday for the K-State KU game. And I'm pretty pumped about it. I'm excited to see them live, Jim.
Yeah, you should be. I think they're going to be a really fun team to watch. That's going to be an electric atmosphere, given that both teams are undefeated in league play, at least as it stands now. Hopefully, knock on wood, they stay that way over the weekend. Yeah, I swear this review wasn't written by me. I feel like I've been kind of needling both of you about getting on board with K-State. I converted earlier than the other two.
You did.
I don't know, Matt. I'm a big fan of the squad. The one caveat I have with loving Jerome Tang is that he has the worst John Rosteinism. The Clubber Tang thing is terrible. It's so bad. It's supposed to be a Clubber Lang reference from Rocky. And it's just like, okay, you found one word that rhymes with his last name. Like, that is the biggest force.
It's okay. Yeah. It's a little bit of a force.
Matt, it's terrible. Don't give it up. I'm on the fence about it. It is horrendous. It's so bad, Rostein.
I'm not very punny either, so my bar's pretty low to clear, I suppose. I'm coming around. Everybody's coming around, Doug. Well, I'm not on the Purple Kittens quite yet, Kai. A second review, though, exists.
Yes. Your boy EJ says,
Your boy
Iowa State,
Wilbon.
Wisconsin. He says he loves the pod. Iowa State keeps raking in the recruits. We have the hots for Ots, he says, in quotation.
Matt, that's a good way to remember how it's pronounced.
There you go. Hots for Ots. A good mnemonic device.
Yeah.
Does that qualify?
Yeah, mnemonic. That's right. Yes, I think.
What is the ceiling, he asks, for ISU over the next few years? Also, Wisconsin deserves more respect, he says, no matter what they find a way to be better than expected every year. Totally agree about Wisconsin. It's a system. Guard does a very good job there. Iowa State ceiling, gosh, I think you're looking at it right now, in my opinion. Top 20 team, top 15 maybe. Playing like a top 10 team last few games. I think they are legit. And we'll talk about the Big 12 a little bit more later on, but man, I'm impressed by them.
Yeah, it's awfully fun when your 25% 3-point shooter makes 44% of his threes.
Yeah, it's key.
What Gabe Kalsher is doing right now in league play, and drastically changes the outlook, because considering a lot of their like late shot clock possessions devolve into him taking step back threes, and that's what he's been making lately.
Mm-hmm.
Iowa State ranks, what do they rank? 6th in D1 experience. I have a thought pending that talks about the value of experience in today's college basketball. Stay tuned
Very nice
for that segment. Yes. More reviews, Kai, does that conclude that section?
That concludes our review section, Matthew. Back to you.
Thank you. Personal corner. This is our 4th live stream. This is going fantastically. I appreciate the chatter and the mob, although I don't usually interact with as much as I should. I apologize. I'll get better on that. Kai, you ran through your road trip. Well, you're going to Columbia.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I'm going to Manhattan on Tuesday, Matthew.
Wow.
For my first trip to the Octagon, Columbia for the Mizzou Arkansas game on Wednesday, and then Champaign for my second trip to Illinois
Champagne
against Indiana. I tell you what, Illinois' home court rocks. I'm excited to go back. Mizzou Arena, Jim, I'm excited to see it as I remembered it. Us back in college when it was full and lively, and Arkansas,
like
there'll
the
be a
dead
good crowd.
Wichita game that you saw over holiday break last year. Yeah,
that was garbage. Plus, all the bars were closed, which was just like no bueno. I need a better cleanser. And again, like I said, Manhattan. I'm excited. Let's do it. Little
This is a fun trip, Kai. It's like we're casting our fishing line out to Manhattan, then we're slowly reeling you back to Chicago through college towns. It's fun.
St. Louis to Kansas City, up to Manhattan,
up to Detroit,
back to Columbia. Yes, Wayne's World. Good reference, Matt.
Thank you. I do apologize for making this smirk when Kai mentioned the great home court that Illinois has. It is a very good home court. I did not mean to
it's awesome.
Tongue in cheek make it. Yeah, it's a good home court. Yeah. Semi roundhousey. Yeah, I like the setup. And enjoy that trip, Kai. Please drive safely. New website updates. I remember when we had a website. That concludes the intro. Now it's time for Roots Roundup.
That's right, Matthew. Let's round it up. Let's talk news and notes. But before we do, we're shouting out these guys. If you're listening, I'm holding up my Home Field logo on the front of my sweatshirt. Kai, our sponsor at Home Field.
Today's show is brought to you by Home Field Apparel. They make the best clothes on earth. That should be their little tagline that they give us. They do make great clothes. I will say that. College, sports, affiliated, lots of schools on their website, comfy t-shirts, hoodies, joggers, even if they'll allow it. They're very close to the best on the joggers. Also, they make these shirts in like real time. You can buy Georgia back-to-back national champion shirts right now for college football. They always make a new college basketball champion shirt. It's fantastic. Their Twitter is HomeFieldAPPARL. If you don't see your school on their website and you want to ask them to put stuff on a shirt about your school, just tweet at them. They're very, very nice. That is Home Field Apparel. Get 15% off your first order using promo code 3MW when you go to their website, homefieldapparel.com. Home Field, wear one for the team.
Wear one for the team. That's right. Thank you, Kai. Let's get right into the news. And that is the big guillotine has finally dropped on Chris Beard at Texas. He's officially out. This felt inevitable ever since the allegations first came forth, but now we have final confirmation. The speculation can really start in earnest for who is going to follow him up. Matt, I have a big old theory that it won't be Rodney Terry, no matter what happens this year. I don't think we'll go the interim route. All kinds of names are being thrown around. You can read Jeff Goodman's got an article about his potential candidates at Stadium, whether it is Mr. Tang, the aforementioned Mr. Tang, as a possibility, returning back to Texas after being at Baylor. Eric Musselman, Nate Oates,
come back to
Bruce
Texas.
Pearl, John Calipari, maybe that's being brought up. It is all kinds of names out there. Rael Ivey, go if they want to go the alum route, who has no head coaching experience, and that certainly hasn't had any sort of backfiring in the history of this sport. Matt, where do you settle with this? Do you have a preliminary lead candidate? Do you care right now because it's midseason? What do you think?
I don't. Very fascinated to see where this goes. I would think the school would absolutely not go Rodney Terry. I just think when you're a program with the pockets and the reach that Texas has, Kai, like you hired Chris Beard, you paid him a lot of money, and then Chris Beard went out and picked his own cronies to form his staff, right? Like you didn't hire the staff, right? The school, the AD, the department, all of the brain power and muscle that goes in that decision needs to be done on a separate standalone basis for the subsequent hire, not just a kind of and again, no disrespect to Rodney Terry. I just don't think it would be a prudent due process if they just gave it to him. Even if he has a good year this year.
If he makes the Final Four, they'll probably keep him, but
even then,
they will.
Okay. Yeah, I mean that'd be sweet, I guess,
You
but like I
can't
wouldn't
kick
do
him.
that.
I mean, what are you going to do? Oh yeah, we don't want you. We just made a Final Four. It's
They
not
sign
going
for
to
like
happen.
a 1 year deal. I don't know. Yeah, okay. Hope that doesn't happen, Texas fans. Root against a Final Four run under Rodney Terry's reign. That
I
would
do
be
have a
bad for
couple
you.
thoughts. Come back to Texas, Bowling for Soup. Is that correct, Matthew?
I think Bowling for Soup. Yeah,
Yeah, nice. Calipari's not taking this job. Silly, absolutely ridiculous. I hope I don't eat my words for that, but he won't. Texas Tech versus Texas is kind of a funny little dynamic now because there was all the bragging from Texas Tech folks when last year the Raiders were succeeding. Beard and Texas were struggling. Now Texas Tech's in the crapper of the Big 12. Well, but Texas also has no coach. It's a very interesting, both sides are sad right now. Sort of rivalry. It's sad, Jim.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of like a good analogy for it, where like they celebrated someone else's failure too much, and so now they're
Yes.
getting a little bit of karma coming around. Like, oh, now
Karma.
you're 0-4 in the Big 12, and you just got spanked by 35 by Iowa State, and you have no good non-conference wins. So Texas Tech, sometimes you just got to worry about your own instead of being so mad that a guy went to his alma mater and took $1 bajillion. It's okay, just let him do that.
I'm gonna guess it's Oates, Musselman, or Tang. If they hire Royal Ivy, it'll be one of the worst hires in college basketball.
Wow, Kai's out on Royal. I don't know a thing about. I couldn't know less about Royal Ivy
Because
than
he
what
has
his
no
says.
coaching experience. That's my point. He has no head coaching experience. They should not do
okay.
that. It's too big of a job. They're not going to do that.
Right, like the Patrick Ewing failure, the Chris Mullen failure. Juwan Howard has been good, but there's definitely some hesitance with how that's going right now, and how much of the early start was Phil Martelli versus Howard.
Yeah,
like just because Kevin Durant wants Royal Ivy in charge, I don't think that's a good reason to hire him.
Thanks, Kevin. You went to school here 1 year, okay?
Yeah, you're
Kevin.
making a multi-million-dollar program. Like,
Nice year, though.
during recruiting,
Nice
Kevin
season.
Durant will give the recruits a call and pitch them on Texas. Like, how much is that actually worth versus a coach with experience and proven?
Yeah, I don't think that matters. Maybe maybe it does. If I were a kid, it wouldn't matter to me, honestly.
Sidebar, real quick. Matt, Jay Williams, your boy, Jay Williams.
Yep, my actual.
Did you
boy.
see his tweet? He said,
No.
"People keep asking me, so I'll address it. The Georgetown job would be a dream come true for me." I was like, one,
he was dead serious.
who is
He was
asking
dead
you to take the
serious.
Georgetown job? And two, that would be maybe a worse hire than Patrick Ewing. I mean,
Oh, stop it! You cannot be worse than Patrick Ewing. Don't.
a Jay
that the
Williams
bar is
would be
the
worse
floor.
than Patrick Ewing.
I don't.
This
I
is
don't
like
believe
our
that.
account
On
tweeting.
par.
Like, people keep asking keep asking us, and we'd like to confirm. Yes, a 30-minute show daily on ESPN would be our dream job.
It would be.
Yes, we would take that.
Would be.
It's like in the offseason when Drew Hanlon said, "I can make Mizzou awesome. All you got to do is make it fun and cool to be a Tiger."
You have a total great grasp of how it is to run a program. Like, okay,
We're having fun. Okay.
no one thought about that before. Okay, all right, that's the Chris Beard discussion. We don't know who's going to be the coach there. My guess is Tang. That's my just like totally uninformed. Like, it seems like he's almost too hot of a candidate right now. But we'll find out. We'll find out in the offseason. We'll discuss it more then. Recruiting news, very little to get to. Nothing in 2023. 2024, 5-star center Yves Missy is headed to Baylor. They need a big. That team is really, really struggling to defend the rim this year, even with Ojinwuna developing some. They need Jonathan Chamwa Chachua back to bring that grip.
Cha-cha. Yeah, I
Defense
agree.
is
They
not
miss
good right
him
now.
badly. This just dawned on me. There could be a Texas musical chairs amongst the coaching ranks. A little Jamie Dixon over to Texas, maybe. A little Jamie Dixon to Baylor.
think so.
Scott Drew to Texas.
No.
Just
Dixon's at his alma mater. I think he's very, very happy to be at TCU.
that's fair.
And then Kayvon Mulready, 4-star guard to Providence, and Kai, old Eddie Cooley, one of the most fun coaches out there, left into a pool fully clothed after this news.
He's awesome. Man, I'd play for Ed Cooley in a heartbeat. He's fantastic.
Yeah.
Here's
There was
coach.
a video when Mizzou got a football recruit. Eli Drinkwitz like ran around the facility high-fiving people. This is like that times 100. Like just jumping in a pool, you're so excited. That's awesome. Like that's a guy you go to war for. All right. Transfer news. Angelo Brizzi left Villanova. This isn't like we can talk about Villanova a little more, and we've saw this. We're gonna get to that, but he was talked about as like the next Archidiakono Gillespie, like under recruited, going to be a 4-year stud, eventually evolve into an all conference guy, and just didn't happen. And I wonder if this is going to be a potential change in the way Villanova's program is. Like, they usually ignore the portal externally because no one leaves via the portal. And this may be marking a new era in that program, Matthew.
Yeah, I honestly, I forgot this guy existed, Jim. So I hope he Fares
why he
well at his
transferred.
next
He's like,
destination. Right. Yeah,
no
fell
one
off my
remembers who
radar.
I am. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yep, noteworthy. And then Sky Clark for Illinois stepped away from the team, not officially in the portal. Brad Underwood released a statement that he's still like a valued member of the program. There were whispers that he and Matthew Meyer got in a fight right before he left the team. So, given Illinois' performance since then, wins and covers over Wisconsin and Nebraska, perhaps there's a little addition by subtraction with Mr. Sky. The sky is not falling. How about that?
Don't
right.
mess. Don't
Puns,
mess.
Matt. Puns.
Don't mess with Matty Meyer. That's real. That's the moral of the story. Matty Meyer, he should be an alpha every team he's on. Let him run that show.
All right.
He's really good.
Great player.
He's
Really good player.
People forgot about him.
I know. Yeah, he had a bad year last year. It wasn't our fault. It was kind of his fault.
All right, injuries. Matthew, your Hoosiers continue to show up here. It's not good. After Xavier Johnson got a long-term injury, Race Thompson is out a while. We don't know for sure what the time frame is. I think there's hope he can return this year, but it is not certain. Kind of an ugly, got his leg rolled up on type of injury. Looked bad. How worried are you about your Hoosiers on a scale of 1 to 10? Panic. 10 is smash the panic button and run around. Where are you at?
Like 6.5-ish. Yeah, 7 for sure. Kind of like that the race thing made them play, kind of forced them to shake up the rotations a little bit. We got to see more of Malik Renew, and Jalen Hood-Schifino has stepped in without Mr. Xavier Johnson, but now can't get stopped. So like the identity of this team is shifting like a violent pendulum in the middle of the year. And it's not exactly a great dynamic to deal with when we're on January 11th and 5 games into Big Ten play. So,
Fred Thatch for St. Louis, Kai, tore his ACL.
Shame.
People that know St. Louis basketball told me he's mega impactful. They had a really awesome performance without him against St. Bonaventure, but whether that sustains all through a 10 play without his defense, his energy, his leadership, his physicality in the backcourt, I'm curious to see how that pans out over the next few weeks.
Yeah, he's a big glue guy. Basically, Fred Thatch is glue. That's how you could think of him. A tough loss, but yeah, the Bonaventure game showed they can be just fine without him.
Indispensable Swiss Army knife type guy. Yeah, I got you.
Yeah, we'll see if it's indispensable. Yeah. And then Jovan Blackshear, the all-conference, I think preseason WAC player of the year for Grand Canyon, tore his ACL, and it just every time I have to read that sentence, I feel the pain in my knee, my heart dies a little bit. It's just not fun. So the Antelope's going to try to bounce back here. They're already missing Udraogo for an extended period of time, so they have not been treated well by the injury bug. The WAC relatively open. Utah Valley, Sam Houston, all kinds of competition there. We're going to talk about that a little bit, Kai, and your 3-man thoughts.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And then last to mention here, Nick Smith Jr. for Arkansas, the possible lottery pick, likely top 5 pick. Out until at least the end of January per Eric Musselman. I think there's some speculation like, is he just going to sit out and get ready for the draft, that kind of thing. But Stadium's Jeff Goodman, Field of 68's Jeff Goodman says if he's 100%, he will absolutely return. Like that is the plan. He is not trying to just coast through the year and sit out and get to the draft. Like he wants to play. They're just trying to figure out the knee issue right now. So we hope to see Nick Smith back because he is electric and one of the best players in the country if he's right. So hopefully he gets back out there. All right, Kai, let's close up the roundup with the Reddit S stats of the day.
Yes, we have 2, Jim. Number 1 from ESPN Stats and Info. With its loss to South Carolina, Kentucky is 1-3 in the SEC, its worst start since 1986-87. Before we were born, fellas. We were born. How about that? Reddit stat of the day. No, it's not good. Reddit stat of the day, part 2 from username It's Zick. Alabama has the 11th best 3-point percentage defense. This might be a little bit dated at 27.8%. This is closer to the 251st ranked defense than it is to number 1 Tennessee, who is allowing opponents to shoot 20.8% from 3-point land. That is a bonkers stat, fellas.
It's ludicrous. 20.8%. That's, maybe I'll give it like 2 more weeks and I'll start looking at the all-time 3-point percentage against stats because I am almost certain that this would be the best ever. And, maybe I'll give it a little more SEC time, Matt. But we'll see. Matt, you're muted. What do you got to say?
I was yelling podcasting to My beloved girlfriend and daughter just walked in.
Okay.
So,
Okay,
yeah,
there we go.
You're
this is very
always
professional.
podcasting.
I know.
You're always podcasting.
Well, Kyle, when we have a live show, we
I'm
open the
leaving you.
listeners. We open the listeners into our lives, so it's part of the program.
Yes.
We saw that Kentucky. I haven't thought about Kentucky, so I don't want to go too far into this. But yeah, they lost to South Carolina at home, and they were 20-point favorite, I believe, is what they closed.
Yep.
Yes, the headline was the "Please Go to Texas" sign. That guy got tossed, by the way.
He got tossed.
Pretty wild.
Yeah, that's
Threw him out of game.
ridiculous.
Come on. He's trying to sign. He's not yelling anything
That's
obscene.
soft.
And no customer. I know. This is why the Rupp Arena wine and cheese brand continues to hold, in my opinion. Sorry.
What if that guy was a South Carolina
Stuffy.
fan? You can't bring in a sign that says
I know.
"Please go to Texas."
That could have
You're
really, there's
opposing
a lot of
fan?
inconsistencies in
What?
that
It's
enforcement.
like big time Streisand effect. Where like if they don't boot this guy, I bet
Yes.
it's just like, haha, funny this happened. Now it's like, wow, they care so much about this sign that everyone's going to talk about it. It's a clear headline. Like, what
Hilarious.
are you doing?
It's just like the Tennessee GoFundMe for the goalposts. It's like you didn't think through that one.
I just for context, Matt, also Kentucky was an 18.5 point favorite when they lost to St. Peter's in the NCAA tournament.
Wow.
This was a bigger spread than
and
that.
people's heads fell off. Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't bet South Carolina. I should have. That was stupid. Villanova came into a madhouse, I presume. I wasn't there. I can only imagine it was a fairly decent crowd over at Wintrust, and the Demons took him down. First win for the Demons over Nova since 2008. 22 games. Kind of longest active school versus school conference win streak in the country. Longest ever was 23 games. Is this a new day and a new dawn for DePaul basketball, or does it mean absolutely nothing?
I don't know what to make of DePaul, Matt. I can't make heads or tails of
They're
these
fine.
guys. What I
They're
do know is they have 2 Big East wins. That's
They do.
pretty good. And
Hey,
one of
now.
them is against Villanova. Good for DePaul. Way to go.
Are they better than Butler?
No,
No, they're not.
they're not.
Butler,
I
Butler
think
kind of
this
stinks,
is-
though.
I
Hey,
think this
Butler,
is more about
what the heck?
Villanova.
Yeah, I
Villanova.
agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, Villanova's 8-9 overall. Like this is a no chance at tournament team right now. I mean, they beat Oklahoma in the non-conference,
Yeah.
and their only other top 100 win is St. John's at home. Like we're gonna see a tournament without them, maybe without Kentucky. Matt, are your Blue Devils gonna be eventually?
I
on the
know.
tournament? We'll see. No, it's
Hmm.
And that'll
it's
all
getting
tie
interesting for the
together.
Blue Bloods, yeah.
That'll all tie together in my second thought. Stay tuned, listeners. Kai, number 3 on the bullet point list. Dayton is absolutely demolishing the A10. Almost a thought for me as well, as in, hey, let's not sleep on Dayton. They're still awesome. And oh, by the way, they're down 2 of their 4 best players right now.
2 of 6, we'll say. Definitely
Okay.
their second best player.
Yeah,
Malachi
Mallory
Smith.
Smith, point guard.
Yeah. They're not just,
They
they're,
just huge. They just overwhelm people. It's
they're
ridiculous.
crushing team. 12, 14, 20, and 24. That is their margin of victories in 4 A10 games. Scary when they get fully healthy.
Yeah, that's their A10 to lose at this point. A10's in complete shambles. Number 4, Air Force beats Colorado State. Pseudo rivalry there.
Without their best player.
Without their best player. Air Force continues to defy logic. Every year a team does this. The military schools in general have just been consistently a lot better than we give them credit for. They have awesome coaches across the board that extends not just at the major notable Army, Navy, Air Force, but VMI and the Citadel. I guess coaching changes. We'll see how the new sheriffs there play, but just amazing what they've done there. A place where it's impossible to win.
They also they just get like less erratic players. There's less idiocy. It makes sense if you are disciplined enough
and
to
smart.
go to a military
Yep.
institution. Like there's not a lot of like, oh, they've had 5 possessions in a row where they punted it out of bounds or took 19 footers with their heels on the 3-point line. Like they just play a little bit more intelligent.
In middle of the road college basketball, coaching matters a lot. Like no one's really that talented. So if your guys don't do the stupid losing things, that's usually a pretty good thing. Number 5, Iowa is 2-0 since Mr. McCaffrey / Pat McCaffrey came back to the lineup.
No,
I think
since he left.
Since he took his leave of absence.
Since he left the lineup, I'm sorry. But
Yeah.
since Chris Murray came back, they are, I guess, 2-1 or whatever. I don't know. I think Iowa's back.
Yeah.
That's my takeaway.
Yeah, I was just pointing out that it's interesting they're 2-0 without McCaffrey. And once declared dead, the Hawkeyes are now like signs of life with Indiana and Rutgers wins. It's hard to really determine what that team is right now.
Yeah, I mean,
I guess-
after they had lost to Eastern Illinois and then at Nebraska at Penn State, it was like, oh, and they started down 23-4 to Indiana, and it was like everybody was just shoveling the dirt on top of their grave and burying them.
Yeah.
And then they come back and win that game, and then win at the
Undertaker
rack, and it's
gift.
like, what's happening? Yeah,
Yeah.
Iowa's a mega difficult team to figure out right now.
Yeah, McCaffrey was awful in the Nebraska game. I think that was Murray's first game back, and then the last 3 since they've been 2-1 and clearly playing much better. Number 6, the America East was completely blackout splashed on set. Was it Sunday? Yeah, Sunday. Sunday, usually weird things happen. We've decided as quasi full-time bettors, but like really, really, really off the wall stuff was happening. Teams that we made fun of / were trying to auto fade were beating teams that haven't looked mortal all year. Albany beat UMass Lowell, who looked like the best low major in college basketball.
By 26.
By 26, they were a 10-point dog.
They were up by 30 like the whole game.
Kai, New Hampshire, you've made fun of how little talent they have. They beat Vermont, the big bad Catamounts, by 7, and they were 9-point dogs in that one. And then UMBC, the Retrievers, beat Bryant, the team we all thought could maybe dethrone Vermont atop the East this year in their first year in the league. Well, they got beat by the Retrievers, who were, I guess, the original king of this conference, right? We'll call them that because they, really stepped to glory against Virginia.
Deputy. Vermont's been the king of the conference.
I know, but I think the UMBC has the most the proudest moment of any of this. I still think they're kind of the OG king, and they've always been a good program too.
I think Bryant is finding out that you have to play defense
in this conference.
It's long been not an option of theirs, and they played some pretty bad offenses in the NEC, but they're getting punished a little bit. Vermont, UMBC both took care of them.
Yeah.
And I love that Kai included Washington State here as the last bullet point on our We've Saw That. They did snap a 37-game losing streak to AP top 5 teams with that what the heck win at Arizona. This was on Saturday, 74-61. I maintain they're the best 7-10 team in college basketball.
You might be right. I still think they are, I'm checking, second unluckiest team in basketball per KenPom. The unluckiest is Stanford. I don't think so.
Yeah. Stanford's just bad.
Wazoo, man.
Those are the only
Not
2
good.
top 100 teams with 10 losses per KenPom, and Wazoo is 61st, and Stanford's down there at 96. Like, they have 10 losses and they're 61st. They are definitely unlucky, Wazoo.
Jim, neither of those 2 teams will be discussed in your first thought. Let's pivot seamlessly to our 3-man thoughts, and you'll talk about top 3. Okay, Jim, you unveil it.
Yeah, this is actually a Twitter DM that I got, and I thought it was really worth a discussion here. We always talk about like what's the best conference, top to bottom, or who like has the best, who's going to get the most teams into the NCAA tournament. But what Tyler Klusman proposed in my DMs was who is the best top 3 in the country. So basically, like title contender caliber. First thought was immediately to the SEC with Tennessee, Alabama, and then Arkansas. Kentucky certainly not in this conversation, as we thought they might be preseason. But I think those 3 have been really good enough to warrant discussion here. The Big East is right there. UConn, Marquette, Xavier. I mean, Creighton's not even in there, and we know they have the upside to be a top 15 team on given nights. Pac-12, UCLA, Arizona, definitely in there. And then where do you go with the third one? Is it Utah? Is it Arizona State? Hard to figure with that third spot.
Yeah.
And then the Big 12 is even more of a question mark. Like Kansas, definitely the best team right now, but are the next best 2 teams Kansas State and Iowa State? Are they Baylor and Texas? What ranking system do you want to use?
Yeah.
I don't know. Kai, where do you go with this one? Who do you think has the best top 3 in the country?
I love that you didn't include the ACC because it doesn't belong in this conversation.
Nope, I have no interest in including them here.
I guess I'm going SEC with Tennessee, Bama, and I guess Arkansas would be the third team you would take from that league. But boy, part of me is very tempted by the Big East, and then of course the Big 12. But gosh, tough question. I'll submit SEC, Matt. I won't ride the fence. That's your job.
Wait,
That is my job.
If you went Big 12, who would you put in the top 3? I want to make you answer that too, because it's like legitimately a difficult. Who would you pick?
KenPom would say Texas and Iowa State. I'd probably put Iowa State there right now. I guess Texas as well, but TCU's right there. I mean, I'm still like Baylor. This is hard.
Yeah, Matt, I think I'd go double purple there. I think my next 2 best teams in the Big 12 are TCU and Iowa State, and K-State.
Oh God! And would you choose that over the Big East?
No, I would choose the Big East and the SEC ahead of them.
Okay.
Like I would still rank Big 12 third, but just trying to answer.
Yeah,
who
I would
the 3
go.
would be from the Big 12.
I would go SEC. I'm not even sure I'd choose Arkansas. I guess I'd probably have to, don't I?
Who would you choose?
I don't know. I was going to say the
Besides
top
South
2.
Carolina.
Yeah, or Vandy. It's tough to say. Yeah, no, I guess it probably is Arkansas. Crap. Certainly not Auburn.
Could
If
be
they get
Auburn.
Nick Smith Jr. back, man,
The
then
SEC
it
might
really
be
is Auburn or
kind of
Arkansas.
bad, by the way. The SEC may not be very good. It's fine. It's just down for sure. Jim, if this were a top 2 question, I might take the Pac-12 with Arizona and UCLA.
Yep, I think that's valid. They just don't have that third team. Like
I
the
love
third team in
Utah,
KenPom is
but like I
47th.
can't put Utah in this class. Sorry.
Right, like
Sorry,
they're not
Craig
in the
Smith.
measurement with Arkansas or Xavier. Like Big East is sneakily possibly the answer. If you don't feel great about Arkansas, I don't have any qualms with going with the Big East. Xavier's been fantastic. Marquette rocks. Creighton, if you want to put them in there, but then UConn's just like the clear top squad. So it is a very fun kind of push and pull, depending on whether you value like the uppermost number 1 team more, the top 2, or then if you want the balance of the top 3, then you can go in a different direction. So it grinded my gears, or it got my gears ticking in my head. So I wanted to bring it for discussion here.
Arkansas or Marquette, Kai? I know.
Marquette right now.
I think Marquette right now too.
It's Marquette for me, like not a hesitation.
I know.
That
I'm
offense
still
is so
hesitant,
good.
but yeah, I think it's Marquette too. All right. I'll hog the mic because I'm going to stay a little SEC talk. And this is a really specific focus thought I was kind of just thinking about this day. We talked a lot about the teams that we were shorting preseason. I think we had pretty good, maybe it was just me. So it might just be a Matt toots his own horn section here. Teams that might struggle in the SEC. And there's been a lot of teams that have struggled, like Florida struggled, Auburn 13-3. I mean, I think they've really struggled. I still can't believe they're sitting at 19th in KenPom. A&M really struggled. Vanderbilt, I would say, struggled for sure. South Carolina, yes. Georgia's been sneaky surprising. We would probably nod our heads. Obviously, your Mizzou Tigers, we've talked way too much on this podcast about. But who's been bad, in my opinion, that no one's talking about is LSU. They are about to fall outside the top 100 of KenPom. They're 12-4. They've done nothing remotely impressive, at least from what I've seen. Now, I think Matt McMahon's actually coaching this team fairly well. It just doesn't look like an overly talented team. It looks very much like the Murray State caliber team that I watched last year, which basically makes sense because it's the same coach and 3 of the top 6 players. So that's my LSU thought, Kai, but lest we forget, Kentucky is way worse. And feel free to, I'll roll out the red carpet for any jabs you want to throw at UK or LSU.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with LSU. When they beat Arkansas, though, and they were 12-1, and it was like, okay, I guess LSU's fine. And they were up by 10 against K-State in the second half and almost beat them. That looks pretty darn good right now. Now, however, they should not have beaten Wake Forest. They were down 20 in that game. So putting that all together, yes, they do not look impressive. And they are, well, they're 1-2 right now against the spread in SEC play. They hung with Kentucky, but to not even come close to A&M and then losing to Florida, who definitely needed a win, but losing to Florida in that fashion when LSU themselves really needed a win as well, that's pretty disheartening. I would agree that LSU is not great right now.
I think they're less bad than Matt's giving them shade for. The Arkansas win was very solid. They didn't have Cam Hayes against Florida. That was a surprise absence. I think that matters. Sure. He's been really, really good for them. 40% from 3. You pull that out of a lineup that has no shooting. Suddenly it looks really, really bleak against a really solid interior defense. I think they're okay. They were a horrific big favorite in non-conference, which is a big reason why they have plummeted in analytical rankings. I think they'll finish like 7-11, 8-10 in the SEC. I don't think they're going to plunge to the bottom at like 4-14 or something.
Yeah, I actually think they may, just because the SEC, Scotty Schaeff on the SEC bottom is uprising. I agree. I think there's a chance that they could be sort of, 1 or 2 injuries away from being a team that kind of slips into the bottom of the cellar. But I kind of tee up LSU as a don't worry, LSU, at least you're not Kentucky punchline to this because it's gotten pretty bad for Big Blue Nation. Jim, you mentioned this at the in Roots Roundup, like even with the recruiting class that Cal has coming in next year, like, hey, don't fire me. Look at those dudes coming in. Do you want to lose all that talent? He doesn't have the same grace that like Tom Izzo has at Michigan State, right? Where it's just a different fan base with different expectations where they're used to kind of like the slow burn, so to speak, at Michigan State. And so like, oh yeah, hey Izzo, yeah, you had some, turbulence to start the year, but you got those awesome dudes next year. We're here for you. Where Cal, it's like the expectations are so high. And the fact that you haven't won with this current version of talent you brought in doesn't exude any confidence that you'll win with the next crop coming down the road. So I don't know. Tough spot for Cal. He's fine. He's not getting fired.
He's not getting fired.
He's not getting fired. I will do the Casey Wallace got hurt, Damian Collins got hurt caveats. they were also down 21-8 when Cason Wallace got hurt. It's not like they were winning and then he completely took the juice out of their sails and they collapsed. Like they were just already playing poorly against the worst team in the league. Jacob Toppin was out too. I get that. But like this team is nowhere near expectations. And there's a lot of similar pieces back from a team that got a 2 seed. Like were Keon Brooks and Ty that important? Kellen Grady? Like Ty missed games last year and they didn't collapse this badly. I don't know. It's weird. That just seems like they have kind of lost their way.
It's just so interesting to think about butterfly effects, Matthew. Just small
It
little wrinkles that could change entire circumstances. 2020 Kentucky, that 4 seed team that was going to be a 4 seed, COVID hit. That team was awesome and they were about to wreck the tournament. Could have been a Final Four team. How different does that look? Plus, if Kentucky doesn't lose to St. Peter's, which they played 100 more times, they win that game 100 times. How different is this conversation? Because this guy has a title. He's got 2 Final Fours, a runner-up. He's got 3 more Elite Eights. I mean, they're not firing. You gave him a lifetime contract. Kentucky fans, I get it, but he's their coach.
Oscar Tshiebwe hurt. Jacob Toppin hurts. Cason Wallace just got already talked about that. Sphir Wheeler's been hurt. CJ Frederick's been hurt. I mean, a lot of injuries here too. Like major headwinds.
Matt, one
Jim,
quick question for you. How do you reconcile the fact that Murray State with Matt McMahon, Trey Hannibal, KJ Williams, Justice Hill was a top 40 team, and now with that same foursome and Adam Miller instead of Tevin Brown
and a talent upgrade and a better program? No, I can't. Jim, I had this exact thought today. I was like, this doesn't make any sense. This team should be as good as that Murray State team, if not a little better. However,
I keep clinging to that.
Is there a chance that Murray State team just was lightning in a bottle? And if you played the simulation of the college basketball world 10 times in NCAA basketball 2004 through 2012, how many times has Murray State ended up a top 40 team? You know, I don't know.
Yeah. What would LSU do in that OVC last year? I mean, that Murray State team lost to ETSU in the non-con. Like,
yep. And
they also had a lot. They had
at Memphis, who was a complete disarray, and they beat San Francisco in the tournament in overtime, who was missing their second best player. So maybe they weren't as good. They just blew out some bad teams.
Jordan Majewski, always an eye for this stuff. He talked a lot about how they do run a lot of like very good set plays. Like they're playing a lot like a mid-major. That's the problem. It's like you're playing like a mid-major in a power conference, big boy league. That's kind of how this team looks and feels to me, even though there is talent there. At least I think so. All right. That's all I got. Kai.
Hey, all right, guys. My first thought is also
all right.
a Twitter inspired one, Jim. A guy at Mizzou0101. I said something Big 12. This conference is the best conference ever. I'm not sure I stand by that. I think it is. Top to bottom, I think it is. At least it's in the conversation. But he said there's only one national title contender in it, which I thought about. And I was like, you know what? Maybe you're right. Maybe I would agree with you. But my response was, there's like 5 or 6 Final Four contenders, which is, I think, different than national title contender. I think we'd agree, but still interesting to go through. And I'm curious about your guys' thoughts. So
I have a hot take here. Go ahead, Kai.
Yes, please. Title contender, Kansas, I believe, is who he's referring to. And I would say that is definitely the case. They are a title contender. These other teams, I would call more Final Four contender. I would say Texas is still a Final Four contender. TCU, I'm not ready to give up on Baylor yet, despite I know it might be stubborn at this point. Iowa State, believe it or not, I think they can do it. And then I'm actually going to give K-State the nod here. And here's why. They're well coached. They have a catch fire lead guard. They have an all-American talent in Johnson, and they're good on both ends of the floor. They kind of have the makings of a deep run team in the tournament. And I think they could actually make a run. I'm not sold on Texas Tech, West Virginia, or the Oklahoma schools as Final Four threats.
Nope.
That's just kind of how I see it right now. Do you want to give Jim the mic first, Matt, or do you want to get your hot take off?
Yeah, Jim, take the mic.
Okay.
Well, I don't really have like a lot to say here. I agree basically with your general notion. I mostly want to use this as like a deconstruct why Matt hates Kansas State. Like what is it that he doesn't like about him? Because I think if you said preseason, they have a guard that's playing like a definite first team all conference, arguably like all-American point guard, a true All-American on the wing, like former preseason SEC player of the year that I know that Matt loved at Florida.
I loved it, Florida. I did.
Naquan Tomlin is like 6'10", potential pro who's only been playing basketball for 5 years, but already looks this good bouncing around. They have a fantastic coach. Tang is clearly, I think, top of the line. Look at it's just kind of in that same Tommy Lloyd vein. I know we didn't love the roster at the beginning of the year, but I think we've got to readjust expectations and look at what they actually are right now and say, oh, maybe we miscalculated it. We thought Johnson wouldn't be fully healthy. That was a big part of it. We didn't know Noel would be this good. We had no idea that Tomlin would be this good. I just think we've got to recalibrate a little bit. And so to me, it looks like I said, they have all the pieces to be a very good postseason team. So what's missing for you before you give your hot take?
So I'm partly conceding I was wrong on Kansas State. So partial hand up. I'm sorry, K-State. I think Elmore's just bitter because I love Bruce Weber. Me and Kai both love Bruce Weber. We thought he got a raw shake. Turns out the fans were right, though.
Bruce Weber. I like Bruce Weber.
I'm a big Bruce Weber fan.
Bruce Weber. I like Bruce Weber.
Bitang's been an upgrade. I was wrong about that. Didn't think it would be. Clearly been an upgrade. I think he has his team at a higher baseline and with a much higher ceiling than Weber ever had it. So when we always are bemoaning fans, like, quit whining about what you wish you could have. Like, sometimes a little bit of ambition, dream big can actually work out well for you. So I salute you in your persistence. But generally, I think, yeah, they're better than I thought. I also don't fully believe that Marquise Noel is going to play like Michael Jordan the rest of the year. I don't. I'm sorry. I just think there's like a little bit of regression coming there. I mean, like, his numbers are bananas insane, like player of the year good. And I know he's really good. I believe he's there. He's like a legit all, Big 12 caliber guard. I don't know if these numbers are insane. And Key Johnson, like, he's better than he was at Florida. I can't even believe that. I mean, maybe he really is. It's just a lot of things are happening. Back to my Murray State point with LSU, I feel like this is like just a special brewing season. And maybe it just kind of parlays the rest of the year. I feel like there's some regression coming. And I think I can see signs of it in who they played and when they played them this year. I think Oklahoma State without Cisse. Back to my bigger point, the hot take I was going to tease earlier. I don't think the Big 12 is as good as people think. I think Texas is really shaky. I think Baylor is really shaky. I think West Virginia, I'm starting to sour on myself. It's tough to like go through and put an asterisk to all these wins because they literally just beat all these teams. So I'm not going to like discredit them completely, but there is a little bit of like, to my K-State gut feel, I guess. Kai,
you're not crazy. They got the best case scenario with Keontae Johnson. He just didn't miss it.
Better than best case.
Taking off for 2 years. And then Noel, he is playing like an All-American. It's kind of incredible. Matt, they're non-conference. You had a right to be skeptical, as was I. Nevada overtime, LSU barely, Wichita barely, lose to Butler by 12. I mean,
Cal
these aren't
barely.
good results. Cal barely, but they've clearly figured it out in Big 12. Now, hey, they could lose their next 4 or 5, and we could just say, oh yeah, that's the K-State we thought. But they impressed me against Oklahoma State. They're a Final Four contender, I think, if you stretch it. Back to Matt.
They will lose 3 of their next 4 games. Florida's going to come into the Octagon Doom and stun the faithful.
Oh, no way.
For the last 5. I think they get Texas Tech sucks, by the way. They'll get Tech at home.
I think K-State's going to beat Florida by double digits.
Okay.
And I love Todd Golden in Florida, but
we'll see.
That team is offensively challenged. Yeah. My God.
But LSU made them look good last night, baby. All right.
They scored like 67 points.
Yeah, sorry. They won by 11, but you're right. Offense wasn't really the reason. Kai, this is your thought. I think I hijacked this thought. Where are we at here?
I'm passing it back to you.
Back to me for number 2.
Sorry,
Jim.
I believe.
Back to Jim.
This was kind of a late. I had a different thought in here, but I kind of wanted to talk about this. Projected dominance. Basically, which leagues have the most, air quote, dominant teams projected to win by 3 or more games per KenPom. This goes back a little bit to the Dayton point we made. I thought they were going to be one that was projected to win by 3. Right now it's 2 over SLU, so they don't qualify for this. But the Summit League actually has the biggest projected gap in champion and second place team. Oral Roberts projected to win by 5 games over St. Thomas. Shocking that St. Thomas is the second best team here. South Dakota State, North Dakota State have fallen that far. But B, it gives a testament to how much better Oral Roberts has been. And I think they're starting to shape up into the mid-major darling that can make a run in March. We talked about it a little on this podcast in the past. Just so impressed with them, despite the loss at New Mexico. The American, Houston, projected to win by 4 games over UCF right now. That's unsurprising. The number 1 team in KenPom. Nobody else in the top 30. It is. They might be even a little bit better than I thought because Jarris Walker is like better than I realized. So,
and they're joining the Big 12 next year.
Yep. Yeah. Texas and Oklahoma out. You add
or is it 2 years?
Maybe 2 years, but UCF actually trending way up, also joining the Big 12. BYU joining the Big 12. Cincinnati, it's better and better. And those are the only two leagues projected to win by more than 3 games. Then you also have UCLA in the Pac-12 now projected to win by 3 games over Arizona.
Wow, would be
because of
shocked.
that home loss to Washington State. I think skewed things a little bit. Purdue is projected to win the Big Ten by 3 games over Rutgers and Ohio State. 15-5 for the Boilers. Only 12-8. Nobody else projected better than 12-8 in that league. That tells you
I don't buy that.
the balance that it has.
I don't
yeah,
buy
Matthew? Who's going to be
Yeah.
better than 12-8? Talk to me.
I think I see more parity in that conference race, don't you? A little more competitive.
Yeah, I'd still think Purdue's a little over indexed.
I agree.
They'll probably go more 13-7, 14-6 in this league. I'd be surprised if they went 15-5.
Michigan State, Rutgers. Yeah, Michigan's a good position. Ohio State.
But all those teams are going to beat each other. It's more like
Yeah,
who's
I
going to
know.
be good enough to actually get up to that level and win 13 games. It's not Purdue. That's the question. It's hard. I have a hard time finding an answer for that. It might be Michigan State with Malik Hall back in the lineup.
Yeah,
Yep,
I don't
could be.
know.
The MAC, Metro Atlantic, actually both the MAC and the MAC are projected to be won by 3 games. Kent State by 3 games over Toledo right now. They got the massive win over Toledo last night. That also is the tiebreaker because they only play once this year. Big time for the Golden Flashes. And then, of course, Iona. They did get shellacked by Quinnipiac recently, but they're still projected to win by 3 games over Siena. And then you have 3 kind of low majors. The Big South should be dominated by Longwood. The Ohio Valley dominated by SIU Edwardsville. Holy cow.
Let's go East
3
Side.
games over SEMO. Yeah.
SIUE, man. Yeah, they're good.
It's about time. Yeah, they defend like crazy, and they have a star in Rayshon Taylor. And then the Southland. I was surprised to see Nichols 3 games projected back of Corpus Christi. The Islanders won it last year, made it to the play-in round in the NCAA tournament. Projected to win by 3 games over Austin Clunch and Nichols. All right, Matt, the question I'm coming out of this with is, of these leagues, which one do you expect to actually be a race compared to this that's telling us that we're not going to see a competitive race at this point? 3 games separate all these teams. Which one is actually going to be competitive?
I think Big Ten will be competitive. That was kind of what I was alluding to. You're right. There's not really like a great known challenger to Purdue, but I think Purdue's not as dominant as they've looked. I think there's going to be more of a comeback down to the pack there. The others, though, I feel pretty confident. Like SIUE, it's hard to see them running roughshod over any conference, but like the OVC is complete. That's like bottom of the barrel at this point. And I don't know, the Southland's always a crapshoot. I'd say Big Ten will be weird and fun. And I hope you got SIUE. If you're a St. Louis Billiken basketball fan, you need to cancel your team, drive across the river every other night, how they play in Edwardsville, and that's your new St. Louis team. That's a fun ball club. St. Louis born and bred team.
SIUE beat SLU at SLU this year.
It was awesome. I watched it live, baby.
Yeah.
How about that?
That's nuts.
Kai, what about you? Which one do you see being more competitive than the computer thinks?
Big Ten's an easy answer, but I do think Purdue's a forehead or a Zach Edey haircut above the rest of the league. I think the Southland gets more competitive. Corpus Christi they really do dominate that league last couple of years under Lutz, which Purdue assistant, way to go. I think Nichols finds a way to be competitive there. Northwestern State, they haven't given up on you quite yet. And the OVC, I think SIUE doesn't win by 3 games, but they will win it, in my opinion.
All right.
Southern Indiana, watch out, man.
Yeah,
They just beat him. They just beat him at the
at USI. Pretty good win.
Tough to do. USI, tough place to play. All right,
It is.
Matt, that's my thought. Let's go to your second one, which I don't really know what it is. So I'm excited for the reveal.
It's just a reminder of the old moniker, be old, stay old, a sort of pillar that coaches, I think, that we've talked to and we've heard talk publicly. That's sort of the cheat code to being good at college basketball. With the exception was always, unless you're at the 1% of the 1%, when you can get 5-star guys, because then talent kind of trumps all. But I think even now we're learning that in the new college hoops, transfer induced, lacking top talent, player movement stuff, that even the top teams with the top talent are not immune to this and are thus wishing they were probably older in places they'd like to be. Duke, Kentucky, and you just look at the most experienced teams this season, Penn State, even Virginia's up there, UAB, Iowa State's number 6, which is, I think, the ultimate example, right? Like that team is not overly talented. It's just a mid-major all-star team that's super duper old. They're bought in. and they play well. I mean, your Missouri like Mizzou's top 20, I believe, in that metric.
Yeah, they're old.
Xavier is 18th. I mean, even Maryland is 12th. Kind of, teams that I think surprised us because we maybe didn't trust their upside of talent, but I think we undervalue the value of age. However, Jim, you sent a good quote in our group meet about who was this from? I'm blanking on the source.
I saw it in the A10 Twitterverse. I think the SB Unfurled account had tweeted about it. I can't remember what whose interview it was. I'm sorry.
It was basically a prophetic quote about one of the assistants in the A10 was talking about how he worries about teams who are too old. They get too complacent.
Like and stale. Like they're like, how many times?
Yeah, it was kind of I think it was a St. Bonnie. It was a St. Bonnie podcast where like St. Bonaventure last year was the perfect team, was the oldest team in the country. They'd just been there, tasted success. How do you re-energize guys that like are at the nth, the end of the spectrum of age? So I don't know, it's just a fascinating. Everyone wants to get old. It's, I think, a net boost, but if you're too old, that's a problem, I guess. And it's, I think, really captivating the whole country right now in various degrees.
I wonder if there's a balance too between like being old and being like new old. Like a lot, like Mizzou is old, but they're new. They're transfers, guys that haven't been together, like going through the same practices, workouts all the time. Like SLU brought everybody back, and that was like the big boost for them. Same with that St. Bonaventure team.
I remember Yuri almost left too. So it was like, like if you're 1 foot in, 1 foot out, that's not going to go well. Right.
Yeah. And like, can you get better when it's just the same group? Sometimes we talk about that, the continuity versus improvement thing. If you're bringing a bunch of different pieces together that weren't there, that are also old, there's still like some energy to that. So like, this is a fresh start. And maybe you have to try to balance that out in our future preseason predictions, expectation stuff. We should try to factor that in a little bit. You don't want to over index on it, but I think there is something to it.
Like Notre Dame, maybe an example of, I think Bray at this point would like to just hit the reset button and start fresh with a new crop of dudes.
I wonder if they hit the portal a little harder this offseason.
Yeah.
I'm curious.
How about this stat for you? Of the top 50 most experienced teams, only 5 of them are in the top 20 of continuity.
Oh, that's interesting.
I just added that up myself.
Very good.
A lot of so there's a lot of added age rather than a lot of internal age development.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I think what you want, Jim, you're right. You want continuity to some degree, because I think if you don't have continuity, you really struggle early and you can hurt yourself in the non-con. But you want a little bit of new as like a kind of a jolt of energy, like a defibrillator, so to speak. You don't want to have the St. Bonnie stale, the SLU stale, Notre Dame stale effect that we've seen this season. And even the Blue Bloods, get your 5 stars, but I think Cal's team's different if those transfers pan out this year, right? Like they did.
So don't miss on 5 stars. My God, how it's the easiest job in the world. I'm sorry. Scouting high school, it's the easiest job in the world. Derek Lively's not the best recruit in the country. It's the easiest job in the world. He's not number 1.
Wow.
I don't know how you miss on that. I really do not understand.
Yeah, some of that stuff.
They miss a lot less than they used to. I think recruiting's gotten a lot better. Like relative to years past, it's kind of better.
It's better, but how much of it is too focused on this guy's going to be one of the best pro prospects, rather than this guy's been an awesome college player?
That's the problem. Yes,
Derek Lively was ranked way higher than Hunter Dickinson. Hunter Dickinson was immediately the Big Ten Freshman of the Year, but because he can't jump over a credit card, he's not a pro prospect. So I don't know. You have to be able to. We don't watch enough high school to be able to pick out those examples where they're wrong. It's difficult. But like Bryce Sensabaugh, clearly a better player than Derek Lively. And he was the 48th best recruit or something.
Insane.
Yeah. We need to have a college normalized recruiting ranks. That should be a task for someone. So please spearhead that, whoever feels inspired by this offer.
Yeah, please.
Thoughts will be concluded by
me.
Kai.
Here we go. Shocking undefeated / winless conference starts. Perused the conferences and said, wow, this team's undefeated. Wow, this team's winless. That surprises me. Let's talk about them a little bit here. Teams atop their conference right now. K-State and Iowa State, we know it in the Big 12. They're 4-0. They're looking great. I think they were picked 8 and 9, maybe 9 and 10 in the preseason in that league. Definitely a surprise there. Providence in the Big East is 6-0 in conference play. Not UConn. Not Xavier. Well, Xavier's like 5-0, but Providence is leading that league after the exodus of talent last year. In the ACC, it's Clemson, fellas. 5-0 in the ACC. The Clemson Tigers And they are currently projected to win the ACC by KenPom, going 15-5. Matt, will they go 15-5?
No.
But are they good?
Yeah, they are good. We said they'd be good. They just kind of fooled me early, kind of.
I hope they'd
PJ
be
Hall
good.
stay healthy. PJ Hall stay healthy. That's
I
the
didn't
key.
think they'd
He's
be
never
number
healthy.
one in the ACC good.
Never
Yeah.
healthy.
I think they're covering their 5 conference games by like 10 points per game. Like they're just completely blowing past expectations. The expectations they basically set for themselves in NotCon, they've far exceeded those.
They are 7th among ACC teams in KenPom, if you're curious.
Wow.
That's tough. Yeah. Missouri Valley, Indiana State, 6-0, leading the league. We knew they'd be good. We thought they'd be good, but I'm not sure first place is where I was thinking with the Sycamores.
No, especially with Drake there. And maybe
Yes.
Drake's another one of those possibly stale, like
Yeah,
a bunch of
too old.
fifth-year guys that have been there for 5 years.
Very much so, yes. In the SoCon, surprisingly, Samford is 4-0, which might not sound weird on the surface if you're just looking from the preseason lens, but considering Case Glover has not played any SoCon games, this is quite shocking to me. They've been
Yeah.
playing very well shorthanded.
Yep.
Bucky
and
McMillan's
Cephas,
good.
Another safety or another
Yes.
starter has been out as
Yeah,
well.
2 starters. Incredible. In the A-Sun, Stetson. Stetson's 4-0. I chose them bottom 4 or 5 in the league. Every coach I talked to did the same. I don't understand how they're this good, but they are. Caveat here, they are ranked 6th in KenPom in the A-Sun, outside the top 200. Maybe they fall down soon.
They don't miss
And-
threes, Kai. That helps. They
Yeah,
just
They're shooting out of their
40%
butts.
in league play. They just cannot miss. I mean, they have good shooters, but holy cow, they've been scorching.
That certainly helps. And then the Big Sky, Eastern Washington, 4-0. They've looked incredible in conference play. And Idaho State at 3-0. Matt's Bengals are undefeated so far in Big Sky play. Wow.
That's annoying. We've lost money against them.
Yeah, I think so. Well, I used to bet on them a lot last couple of years, and they
Yep,
have not
and they
done
have
well.
far fallen short of expectations
Yes.
the past couple of years. And here they are. We missed it. Missed the boat.
Yes.
I
All
like
right,
Eastern Washington a lot. That's all I have to say.
They rock.
Like that's a fun team.
Yeah.
It's a really good team.
Teams at the bottom, fellas. Baylor 0-3, Texas Tech 0-4 in the Big 12. Nobody had that on their bingo card in the preseason. Come on. Loyola is 0-4 in the A10. Boy, this team looks terrible. They truly look like the worst team in the A10, and St. Joe's exists. Like, this is, I don't know what's going. They have some older guys. Maybe they're getting complacent. Maybe Braden Norris and Marquise Kennedy are getting complacent. I don't know what's wrong with them thus far.
Kai, Loyola
Yes.
beat Clemson by 18.
Yeah,
It's
December
That
10th.
ridiculous.
That happened.
that's about their only good effort of the season. I'm pretty sure.
Guess who's playing on Saturday, Kai? Loyola and St. Joe's, baby.
Oh, man.
Big one.
I'm tired
I'm
of
betting the
backing
Blurs.
Loyola. I'm tired. I've been doing well fading them recently. I might just keep doing that. The WAC, New Mexico State is 0-4 in the WAC, which blows my mind. Couldn't believe it when I saw it. I still think this team is pretty good. They certainly have talent, but to start 0-4 in the league is surprising.
Yeah. Do we think? I don't know. I don't want to put too much on higher. They've had a lot going on there, but
Yeah,
I think it also just says how good Chris Jans was.
Chris Jans is amazing. He is amazing.
Yep.
SoCon, Mercer 0-4. They've had guys in and out of the lineup, but still not a team you'd expect to be 0-4 right now. A-Sun, Jacksonville State is 0-4. Matthew, you kind of
I told you.
they were a
told you.
consensus top 3 or top 4 team by polls. It's coaches too that I talked to in the A-Sun, and they're broken. 0-4, I believe the start now. They have had a little injury issues, but not enough to be this bad.
Yeah. Last 3 games, they've had Peyton Daniels and,
Yeah.
and Guzemi back, the guys that were out, and they've still looked bleak.
Mhm.
It is a dire situation there this year.
In the Big Sky, Northern Colorado is 0-4. I think they were top 3 or 4 in the preseason poll.
Yep.
Could still get there. They have talent. Their offense isn't the issue. It's their defense. They're a sieve, Matthew.
Yeah, it's Steve Smiley. It's a Jeff Linder hardcore data, all threes, all layups, Nate Oates type of
Mhm.
situation. But at that level, if you really dial that up, I think you kind of expose yourself defensively. And they don't have any personnel to guard, so they don't guard anybody.
Dead
Yeah,
last in the country in block rate. Like they have no athletes
Right.
at all.
Literally no athletes, just shooters and good, dynamic offensive shot makers, no defenders.
Yeah, they have arguably the best player in the league on their team and still are 0-4. In the Big South, High Point is 0-4. That's a surprise. They were expected to compete near the top of the Big South. They have a great home court, apparently. Nothing so far. And then finally in the SWAC, maybe the most surprising, Texas Southern is sitting 0-4. They just lost to Mississippi Valley State. What's going on in the SWAC and
Delta
Texas Southern?
Devils.
Injuries?
Here they come.
They have a couple guys out still.
Guys, I hit this in my almanac. Did you not read it? I told the talent's down this year, Texas Southern. Like, it's still relatively one of the more talented teams in the league, as it always is. But the other teams have caught up with the transfer portal, and you just look at this roster on paper compared to the last 5 years. Like, it's not adorned with proven producing power conference guys as it usually is. And their front court's like not as overwhelmingly big as it has been. And their guard play is shaky. So I kind of get it. I mean, 0-4 is obviously surprising, but this team was always kind of destined for regression.
I'm pushing back because 3 of their best 4 players from last year should be their 3 best players this year. I think it's just injuries. PJ Henry and Jordan Nicholas.
Henry been out. It's been huge. No,
but
I
like
agree with
Walker, Henry, Nicholas were the nucleus that went 13-5 last year. Like, so I think it's tough to say that it's a low talent level if you thought that last year's talent level was high. Maybe it is more the league catching up to them. But man, they should walk over Mississippi Valley State right now. There's something wrong right now.
Texas
that.
Southern
They need Henry.
beat Arizona State this year, and they are currently 5th in the SWAC and KenPom. That's a team I'll look for in the SWAC tournament for some value.
Jim, final point there. They miss Etienne pretty badly, who just went to Southern, and now Southern has the best point guard in the conference, and Southern's awesome and 4-0. So that's
fair.
Too.
I mean, that's the one of their 4 best players
that's one
not
of the 4.
back, and he matters. Yeah.
All right. So concludes thoughts, Matthew.
Let's preview some games. Saturday. Kansas State. You know what I'll have to say about this team. They're going into TCU, Kai, Frat Worth, battle of the purple adorned wads here.
They call
they don't. I think some people do. Frat Worth. I think I've heard someone call it that before. TCU is going to be around I'll put my odds maker hat on, a 2-point favorite, 3-point favorite in this game. KenPom has it -1. I think it'll be shade a little bit higher than that. Kyle, where will your money be and where will your heart be in this one?
My heart's going to be with K-State because I want to see a top 10 matchup between K-State, KU in Manhattan, selfishly.
Okay. Good.
But my money will probably be on TCU. I don't have much
mine will be.
It's going to be an awesome backcourt matchup. The Miles versus Noel is like 2 All-American caliber guards, at least the way they're playing. Although I imagine Dixon is going to send the lanky Damian Baugh at Noel and put a 6'4" lanky defender on a 5'8" guard. That could frustrate him a little bit. Does TCU have the guys to stop Keontae Johnson? I don't know. But I think the physicality inside might wear down Tomlin, wear down Agiola, the 2 big dudes for K-State. I, like Kai, will probably have a few dollars on TCU, despite the fact that I'm a Tang and K-State believer.
I'll be on TCU. Key here for me is TCU's defense, which is pretty extended. They kind of wall off the 3 pretty well. They're long. You got to make Noel and those guys get into the paint and make like mid-range floaters. Like, you can't just be dropping off and letting them pull from 25, because like him and Key Johnson, like the shots they make from 28 feet out is insane. Like, you have to at least make them put on the dribble.
Mid-range is
great too, but like that's where Noel's, I think, vulnerable. Like, he's been basically invincible this year, but where he's not as invincible is he's a little bit undersized and isn't as consistent finishing, isn't as efficient, I should say.
He's a floater monster, though.
He's got great. I know they both do, but that's how you beat him. Don't let him kill you from 3. That's how I've been killing these teams. Just get wide hop from 3, floor opens up, and they just drive right by you and they cut you to death and yada yada. Anyway, TCU by 1 million. Next one, Oregon hosting Arizona. The Ducks have really fallen off our radar, and despite getting healthier, Kai, I don't know what to think of this team right now. Arizona looking for a little bounce back after that last weekend swoon at home. Do they get it done on the road up at the Pit?
I think Oregon could beat them. I don't think they will. I think Arizona is much, 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 much better. Oregon winning at Utah impressed me and frustrated me at the same time, because I took them against Colorado thinking they would win that game and then lose Utah, and they did the exact opposite. It's a very tough team to trust. They do have size to combat Arizona, but I tend to think the Cats win this game by 2 or more, 80 out of 100.
Yeah, the Oregon, like, they're one of the worst 3-point and free throw shooting teams in the country. It's just kind of maddening.
Yeah.
They don't have any sort of spacing. Will Richardson hasn't given them much, and beyond him, what do you know? Jermaine Couisnard's not a good shooter. Quincy Gary continues to not be a good shooter. Soares doesn't give you much there. Rigsby was supposed to provide some, but he's 26% from deep since returning. I don't know. It's tough to figure out the Ducks. I think Arizona just kind of overwhelms them, Matthew.
I do too.
Ooh, little news though. Bartholomew could be back against Arizona State.
That will help.
He's a bit of a game changer for them. If they get him back, I'm listening to the Ducks.
It's a fascinating game. Both teams, I think, they leave me wanting more on the perimeter. I think Arizona is not very vulnerable at all, but if they are, I think they're like maybe a guard short or an elite shot maker, dynamic guy short on them. That's what kind of was exposed, I thought, in the Washington State game. Tubelis didn't play well. Tubelis actually struggled with their length as well. But
yeah, I thought maybe Boswell would be the guy that emerges because
or
against
Ball.
Washington,
Ball's the guy I love.
Yeah, well, Boswell had 9 points, 6 rebounds, 6 assists against Washington. It was like, okay, here's the 5-star. Maybe he's been brought along slowly as a reclass,
and then nothing next game. Yeah,
total dud against Wazoo.
Well, yeah, they need one of those guys because like Cedric Henderson's fine, but they need one more guy, I think. There. Rutgers, Ohio State, little Big Ten tilt on Sunday. Kai, Big Ten trying to make Sunday their slice of the TV.
I appreciate that
pie. Yeah, which I do too. NFL's gone now too. Well, not really, I guess, for those who still follow the playoffs. Anyway, yeah, Rutgers at the rack's always good. Ohio State, their freshmen have played a lot better than I thought in key moments this year. Like Sensabaugh is like, he's just so good, man. Like his moxie is 26, 27-year-old adult-esque. He's got that big ass build. Holtman's made that work. I'm just been super impressed with them. I think Rutgers wins this game though. Big Ten at home, physical game, but the older, grittier team wins.
I think they do too, but that's mainly because of the revenge factor. Ohio State should not have beaten them at Ohio State. The out of bounds call was missed. It was admitted to be missed by officials.
That's right. They thought they actually conceded. They mess it up. Yeah,
I think Rutgers comes out pretty hard. Now they have lost 2 games at home already, Jim. The rack is a little vulnerable. And I love Ohio State. Ohio State's the number 1 offense in the country. Can you believe that? Holy cow. Wild. That's nuts. I do lean towards Rutgers. We'll see what the line is.
Yeah, I mean, if it's 2, like KenPom has it, I will be betting on Rutgers. I think they're like equals in the rack, despite the loss to Iowa and not total invincibility there. I still think it's worth quite a bit, as is that angle of we had these guys beat on the road, and it was stolen from us outside our hands. Granted, they missed a free throw that could have sealed it, but I still think that Rutgers comes out and gets that win.
What's Zed Key status? Sorry, one of you mentioned that. I missed that. If so,
I think he's close to back, but I would think by this weekend he should be on the court.
They don't need him against Minnesota. He'll sit out another game.
Right, and then he was the best player in that first Rutgers game probably. So 22 points and double. So they would like to have him. Last one here before we sign off. Xavier, the Supernova team, I can't seem to put my finger on, although I've just now can see that they're awesome. And Jim's right. Their offense is an absolute treat to watch. They're hosting, Xavier is hosting Marquette, who I'm describing as the Supernova offense I'm in love with. But Kai sees that in Xavier as well. Kai is our current X-Men supporter on this program. Kai, you taking the X-Men at home here?
Boy, I don't know. Marquette is a dog, man. You know the stats. Don't make Jim read them again. Number 6 and number 7 offense in the country. These 2 teams both play fast. It's going to be really, really fun to watch. I'll probably just watch it. I don't know if I'm going to put my money where my mouth is in this game. I'm
going to be really tempted to bet the over. I know KenPom has it for 165 points, but like, how is this not 92 to 85 or something like that? Like they're going to get up and down. Both teams can really, really score. I think both teams can kind of exploit stuff the others can't. Like Xavier's size is going to give Marquette total issues inside, which leads to open threes that Xavier doesn't miss. But then Marquette's ball movement is fantastic, and individual scores can give Xavier problems. Georgetown put up like 90 on them, drove Sean Miller insane in that game. I think Marquette can do that or better. It'll be difficult for me to keep my hand off the trigger on the over for that one.
That concludes our program. That's well done, both of you, and not a bad job by myself either. We will be coming back to you next week, same time as always, unless we have some schedule wrinkles, which I don't foresee happening. Although Kai will be on his midweek road trip, so may have to go remote or shift around. Hey, we'll stay on our toes, as I know you guys will as well. But until next week, good luck and take care.